Here.
Vedbratton,
Here.
Melby, Jurdy,
Here.
Erickson,
Here.
Briggs,
Here. Okay, this time for the open forum. If anyone would like to address the council on any issue not already on tonight's agenda, may come to the podium. State your first and last name and address, please. Mr. Hall.
Hello, Andy Hall, 119 North Main, owner of Sweetlight Gallery. I think I know everybody here. I am here to just do a quick little plug about the Chamber celebration. I'm one of the Chamber board members and just wanted to mention it. It's this Friday evening. We still have some tickets available for it, but it is going to be a fun event. We have a comedian coming up from the Twin Cities to do a little set after the awards. Probably the most important part of the celebration is the awards that we give out. So it would be very much appreciated if we could see a lot of support from the city at the event. It's a great way to, I think, show support for the businesses in the community. And so just want to put it out there as an open invitation. It's going to be a great event. We're doing appetizers. We're doing a social hour. We're going to do the awards, try to get through those in a reasonable amount of time, and then we're going to move on with the comedian. So anyway, if you need tickets, I have them. Any of the board members have them. You can purchase them directly from the Chamber office if you want to. But any of the Chamber board members will have them. So, thank you.
When is it again?
Agent logged up.
This Friday, up at the Eagles, 6
Agent
to
logged in.
probably 10. Happy hour and kind of social hour networking is 6 to 7. 7 o'clock the awards start, and I believe our comedian is coming on at 8:30. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Andy.
Yep.
Anyone else? Chad, anybody on the phone bridge? No, Your Honor. Okay,
Agent logged in.
thank you.
Agent logged off.
We have one presentation tonight. We've got Mr. Dave Keene here. He's gonna give a presentation on the proposed multi-use outdoor complex. Thanks for coming.
Thank you to the council for allowing me to come and speak. You are my first audience for the second go-around on the referendum. A little history, school district went out in August for the referendum, and we came up about 9 votes short. So feel that we have some really good support for the project and need to do a better job of communicating the information, the whys, the benefits, and I think this is the start of our kind of campaign tonight, kind of working through different groups, and we feel the city is definitely a partner that we want to find support from for this project. So again, I'll share some information, answer questions, and just trying to get the information out to all of our district stakeholders about the information about the project and the costs, the benefits, and the whys. So I think Mr. Palm's got it queued up here. My former student, that he's a lot smarter than me with technology. But anyway, what is being proposed? And you have the kind of the handouts, the slides. We are looking at basically putting a new outdoor multi-use complex right out the back doors of Crookston High School. So yes, it's a new location. The new facility would have artificial turf field, 8-lane track, press box seating for 750 plus, and concessions in a bathroom area. And if you're familiar, for those of you that are Crookston or long-time or short-time Crookston residents, the school district has never had a track and a football field on their high school grounds. In the olden days, people walked from the old high school up to Lincoln Field to practice football and play games. And then they did migrate in about 1996 out to the college. It was a great, a good move to go out to the college where the track was located in the football field. And I think that the use of Lincoln Field had kind of run its course, but again, made that transition. But again, made a transition to a complex not owned by the school district. And that's kind of where we start a little bit with the why part of this presentation and kind of the reason the district is looking at a facility and a referendum is the current facility that we are working at the college is not owned by the school district. It is owned by the college, and the school has looked at and has support from the college, but also does not have the support from the college, and that is the main university, of selling that piece of property. And that is the big key in the why, is that for us to make upgrades to a facility, whether it's roofs or any kind of our buildings, or if we want to repair a track, or if we want to change the lay of a football field, we need to own that property. We have a facility dollars called long-term facility revenue that allows us to make those upgrades and to use dollars that are given to us by the state. So we have funds and maintenance dollars to do upgrades, but we have to own the property. And at this time, we don't own the property. Even if they would lease it to us, the leasing doesn't help us. Basically, we need to own that piece of property that's where the current football field and track is at in order for us to use those dollars. So we are looking at going out for a referendum to build our own facility on our own property. So 10 years down the road, when a track or a football field needs some repair or upgrades, we can use those long-term facility dollars to make those upgrades. So again, if we have to use some of our internal funds, we're taking them out of what's called a general fund, and that is basically funds that go towards paying for curriculum, paying for teachers, paying for day-to-day operations if we had to try to finance this internally. So that's, if you look at school districts, when they look at facilities and trying to build new facilities or add on or do upgrades, they're usually done through some type of referendum, and that is what the school district is seeking here with this referendum. We also want to stay competitive in terms of our footprint, our enrollment. Comparable sized districts in our state have similar complexes. I would say the majority of school districts in the state have their own facility that they own. It's on their district property and probably located very adjacent to their high school property, something that we are seeking in this project. So that's the why. We talk about district and community benefits. So again, we look at this project as being a district and community project. We know it's going to benefit our district, our students, and our programs that would use this facility, but we also believe there's a lot of community benefits in terms of what it brings to our community, but also what it brings to the youth, and knowing that the school district works closely with the city, with Park and Rec activities, and we share some facilities and diamonds, and of course this would be another facility that the school district and the city would partner with in order to maximize the use of this outdoor complex. It is going to be an outdoor instructional learning space. We also always talk about, sports and activities, but this is much more than just a competitive field. It also becomes an outdoor learning space. We can use it for ed classes, we can use it for marching band, we can use it for a lot of different purposes during the school day. And yes, after school and evenings, predominantly activities on that complex will be, athletic related. The close proximity to the high school will allow additional groups to use the facility. Artificial turf greatly extends the usability during the wet and snowy season. If you're familiar with any kind of, whether it's the UMC complex, the football field there, anybody that has an outdoor football field and it's a grass field, pretty much the only thing that happens on those fields are game day events. In other words, they don't practice on those fields because they don't want to tear those fields up, because they want them to look nice for Friday night and Saturdays, and artificial turf allows you to use that facility from 7 in the morning till 10 or 11 at night, and we feel that this community and our district would be able to put different programs and teams and things on that complex during those time periods and not have to worry about tearing up a grass field. So again, the artificial turf does provide more usability for all different groups that would want to be in that complex. Improved parking, if you've, like I said, no Not trying to put down or say anything negative. The college has been a very good partner for many years, but trying to kind of share a facility where you're sharing parking with their students, and just some of the people that come to games have to walk quite a distance, and we have this very large parking lot at our high school that would serve our stakeholders better when it comes to home events. Easy access to our high school if there's poor weather. It would allow us to host different regional, sectional, state-type events by having that type of facility on our own grounds. And I think one thing that kind of gets missed in this presentation is the track out at UMC has not been able to be used for a competitive event for probably about 8 to 10 years. And we've had pretty successful track programs that have to go over to East Grand Forks to host track meets, and that's not right. I think that's something that I would hope our district and our community looks at that as being something we need to provide. If we have programs, whether it's ice arenas or basketball courts, if we have track programs, we need to have a track. And again, that's one focus of this project, is to make sure that we have a usable track for competitive events. And again, we just believe it's an investment for the entire community that we can be proud of. And again, we're investing in our children. And we think that is kind of the theme of this, is to make sure that we are doing what's best and investing with our children. Just some tidbits about the funding sources. With the state, we get ag tax credit and state aid to fund this project. So 36% of this project, and the project is the referendum is a $4,965,000 project. 36% of that is funded by the state through either ag tax credits or state aid. So again, over a third of the project we receive state aid on. The rest of it comes, yes, to our district stakeholders, and that is our residents, our businesses, and the people that own ag land. So again, we are trying to work through not only this meeting, but many meetings to come in December and January to inform our stakeholders of the importance of this project and the cost, the benefits, the tax impact, and all the things that go into a referendum. You can see from the budget's summary, again, it has the artificial turf, the 8-lane track. We are looking for a press box, but a concessions bathroom, and then some fencing that kind of makes up the total project. So it is I don't want to say it's a basic project, but when you look at a outdoor facility at a high school, it really is what we just talked about. It's a track, it's a football field or football soccer field, and it's got a press box, bleachers, pretty traditional complex. I guess the one upgrade would be we're looking at the artificial turf just because of the usability, that we can use that property and that complex more than just Friday night game nights. The other handouts that are kind of within your packet really just talk about the tax impact and some examples of how it affects ag property. I think that's something that we maybe missed on the last referendum, was trying to inform our stakeholders that live outside the Crookston city limits. So we are really working hard this referendum to make sure that all stakeholders, whether it's within our city or outside of our city limits, to make sure they understand the needs for this project and the benefits and the costs that go into the project. And I think tonight was, like I said, the start of our informational campaign, and I think what I'm looking for tonight is kind of an endorsement from the city in terms of some type of resolution in the future that would support this project, knowing that we collaborate on other things that go on in the city, and again, very closely working with the Park and Rec and some of the activities that we do share facilities with. So with that, I will open it for questions.
So
comments.
UMC will not spend any money to upgrade their own facility for us to rent from them, is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. I mean, since they dropped football and they've never had a track program, there's no reason for them to invest any money in that facility, because they don't really have programs that need to use that facility anymore, especially when they drop football. I think the track was put in many years ago to kind of have that collaboration between the district and the college, knowing that the college really, back many years, didn't have a track program per se, but I think it was a way to collaborate, because the school district had a dirt track up at Lincoln Field, and they needed like I said, a newer facility. So I think part of the field and the track came as some collaboration between the two organizations. But again, the main probably component that was shared and needed was the football complex. And once UMC dropped their football program, they have no interest in putting any money into upgrading a track that they don't have a program for, or the football field.
And currently, are we renting that for any amount of money?
So we share the costs, so whatever lights, mowing, we do our own kind of maintenance, the field marking, but they do all the maintenance of the field. And so, yeah, we share the cost in that. So we've had a great deal out there. The issue is they don't have this kind of money to put towards sharing the cost to upgrade a track and to go to an artificial turf. And I think the other thing that we look at is the benefit I talked about earlier is just being able to go out our back door, and we would use that facility from the start of school till the end of till the lights go out. It's just not the same, even though it's a half a mile away. That's a half a mile away is like being 25 miles away. We just can't go and get across the railroad tracks and use that facility. One, because it's the distance, and two is just the grass field. It's gonna get tore up if we had Phi Ed classes and then we wanna play, whether it's soccer or football competitive events. You don't want people on a grass field tearing it up when you have your competitive teams wanting to be on a good surface on their game
The other
nights.
thing is, we're missing all of our home track meets currently, right? Because
Yep.
we have to go to East Grand Forks to have them, and then we also used to have district, or like subsections here too, right? Or
Yeah, I think that, one of the caveats of this is not the main focal point. Our focal point is on what's best for our kids and,
Right.
at our school and our community, and those are the immediate needs that I've talked about. But yes, that facility would allow us to host some of those other events. It probably would turn into some opportunities to rent it to maybe other groups, and, to get some income out of it. But our focus on this is gonna benefit our students and our children of this community. And I think we would have a hard time probably finding a lot of extra time for things, but I think for some of those section and state events, yes, we would definitely want to have those back in our community. And those are great money makers for the uptown in terms of gas and restaurants. And so it brings a lot of people to our community, no different than a weekend hockey tournament at the arena. And I know you guys have been through kind of all the marketing, the benefits of having that facility. I think we feel this facility provides those same opportunities, not only for our school district, but for the community and for the city.
I know like the college hasn't had, say, a full-blown track or events and stuff, but I know they're getting a little more into the cross-country. Did they use the track for much of that?
They do a little bit. I asked Steph Helgeson out there, and she said there's a little bit they do with cross-country, but a lot of those, they still like to run out on golf courses, and those are the kind of competitive areas that cross-country teams compete on. But they do, I think the only program that UMC has that probably goes out there and maybe uses the track for a little bit of workouts is their cross-country team. I just don't know how big it is.
I just thought maybe if they get a little more into it, you might be able to work something out.
Yeah, and we feel that the facility out our back doors might be an opportunity for them to come and play, whether it's their cross-country team or their soccer teams to come and play when their fields are wet and muddy and they need a better surface. So we hope that we'd be a good partner with not only the city, but also with the college in terms of that facility.
Further questions?
I hope the city supports this. I mean, I think it's something our community's needed for quite a while here, so I hope our city comes out. I think the city did a good job last election. I think we had a pretty good response, positive response from the city last time, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think, you know, I came in July, so again, I think, you know, this would have been a meeting that I would have, you know, did somewhere in June
I
again,
mean,
so.
the voting breakdown from the community of.
Yeah,
the
I think there's,
residents of
you know, I think that was the other question when I was talking to Corky about this a little bit too, is to, you know, hopefully partner with some of you sitting at the table here to help us facilitate some meetings with your wards, because there were certain wards that were stronger than others, and, you know, we need not only our stakeholders that live outside the city limits, but I think there was a lot of uninformed stakeholders within the city that one didn't even maybe know there was a referendum, or all they saw on the ballot was, if you vote for this, it'll be a tax increase, you know, that was, you know, if they didn't know any information. So again, we would like to, in this month of December and January, you know, work with those of you at the table here to set up a ward meeting that we could come out and kind of share this information to inform people. And there was a lot of support, but there, like I said, we could always use more support. And I think we're looking at this vote to try to go out and not win it by 9 votes, but to win it, you know, by a wide margin, to just to show that there is support and there is a need for this project.
Very good.
I would agree with Delane on this. I think that a lot of the things that I see on here kind of answer some of the questions of people that I spoke with who didn't quite understand why we still just weren't upgrading the university facility or purchasing that land and things like that. And I think that because of that, they just felt that those directions weren't exhausted prior to coming forth, and I think that's a really important piece. And I understand that this is, you know, really for the good of the students and the kids in our town, but I would also say for those who really don't have a lot of connection to the public schools, whether they just don't have children or they're retired or what have you, I think, you know, looking at the other avenue of like the revenue that can be brought into our town by hosting these events is a really important thing and really can affect our town in a positive way. And I don't think that should be overlooked in having these conversations going forward.
And that's the hard part, is that facility sits out there at the north end of town. And it was a very nice facility, but again, it's taken its toll over the years, and the college just doesn't have any programs that use it. We're the biggest user of it, and again, we're using it for maybe 4 or 5 home football games on Friday nights, and probably the most we use it is for track practices, and we're on a track that is, probably we shouldn't be on there because it's not probably safe, but we do practice on it, but we can't host any competitive events. So again, it's a project that's needed for the school district, and I think it enhances, you know, something that I think will serve the community and everybody that lives in the community. In some way, some fashion, people will benefit, whether that's people coming to town and spending money at businesses, or if you got grandkids or you got kids, somewhere it'll benefit all of our stakeholders if they just, like I said, take a look at a little bit of a wider view of the benefits. And I think what we're proposing for the cost on this isn't affordable. And I think we recognize that, yes, the cost of gas and the prices have gone up for milk and meat, and all the other items have gone up. And so we recognize that people do have budgets, and some have very tight budgets. But again, we feel that the tax impact is, I don't want to say it's minimal, but I think it's something that people can afford if they look at kind of the information and look at kind of the whys and the benefits, that it's an affordable project that is being brought to the voters.
I think it'll give the older people the opportunity probably to do some walking too, so get out in the sun and surf
Yep.
a little bit.
I think it's a great idea, Dave, you know, that maybe with council awards, have an informational meeting in the wards, but, you know, possibly maybe set up some times with service clubs. You know,
Yeah, and
still-
I think we've got those, but I think I will be contacting each one of you to see if you'd be willing to kind of help us set up a meeting in your ward, because, you know, this is not just the school district. We kind of told our yes committee, this is not just the school trying to sell this. We need the community to kind of help sell this project, and that means people in this room and people in the service clubs. If it's just the school district out kind of pounding the steps with the information, we need to get people on board that, you know, that are living in the community and see this as a quality project that's worth the referendum dollars that we're asking for. Again, it can't be all school-driven. We need the community to step up and be vocal and share some information about this is good for our community.
Well, I think it goes back to, professionals moving to our community. I mean, superintendent with, looking at your position down the road, Corky can stay forever, but be looking at, and that's one of the first things they check out is, what the quality of school, what kind of school we have, and if they see we don't have a football and a track field on our property, it says a lot to whether they want to relocate here or not.
Well, and it says a lot about what that city values or doesn't value, too, when coming to looking for housing for younger families, too.
So you're asking that the council consider a resolution in support of this?
Yes,
There is not one in front of you tonight. If there's a sense of the council for a resolution, I will draft one for your consideration at the next meeting.
Sounds good.
So general consensus is what we're looking for.
Consensus and then a specific resolution.
Okay.
If that's what you wish me to do.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay, I will prepare that resolution for next meeting.
thank you, appreciate the opportunity, and again, I'll be in touch with all of you to kind of, looking for some help of, whether I don't care where we meet, you just tell me where to come, and, if you can help get some of the people from your wards at the meeting, so we can just make sure people are informed. I think we then go to the vote and let them vote, but if they know the information, I think they'll see some merit in this project, so, thank you.
Dave,
Thank
can I
you.
just ask a question real quick? Do you have this like on Facebook or something that?
Yeah,
this could
it's
be
on our
shared as well?
website, and we're gonna have it at games and events, and we're gonna send it out in the shopper, so we're hoping that everybody gets a copy of kind of the fact sheet and,
Sure. I
And
think
the
this like
vote-
clearly addresses some of those questions,
Yeah.
so.
The vote is
February 14th, so, yeah,
14th?
I love your.
So we love
school
your
and
city?
community, yeah. Valentine's Day, everybody hopefully's in a good mood, and there's one, there's mail-in ballots, but, the voting place is St. Paul Lutheran, so when the school district runs kind of their own special election, we use St. Paul Lutheran, and there's still the opportunity for mail-in ballots, so. Well, thank you, and, appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight.
Thank you.
Good job. Good job.
Okay, moving on. This brings us to the agenda. Does anyone wish to add or remove anything from tonight's agenda? I think you have something, Ashley, don't you?
Yes, Your Honor. Under the regular agenda, if we could add item 8.12 and 8.13. One is a revised resolution to approve the rehabilitation loan program and mortgage satisfaction on the property owned by William R. and Carol E. Montague, husband and wife, with respects to document number A000542046. And the other is a revised resolution adopting the updated fee schedule for the year of 2023.
And the reason for that is, in preparing the resolution for the Montagues, when I dictated the resolution, I transposed a 6 to an 8. So it would be incorrectly recorded, and we just need to revise that one digit. Also, in adopting the fee schedule, Ashley and I reviewed the fee schedule, and there were two clerical inaccuracies, so we just changed those. Nothing substantively, but those are the reasons for the revisions.
Okay.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
I'll make that motion, Your Honor.
Thank you, Christie. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Joe. Discussion? Hearing none, can I have roll call, please?
Cavalier.
Aye.
Kressel.
Aye.
Platt.
Aye.
Ved Bratton.
Aye.
Jurdy.
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye.
Briggs.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. This brings us to the consent agenda. Does anyone wish to add or remove anything from the consent agenda?
Your Honor, I'd like to remove 6.01.
Remove, pardon me, say that again, Tom?
6.01.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Can I have a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda?
So moved.
I'll
Thank
make
you,
that
Tom.
I'll second it, excuse me.
Second by
Clayton?
Clayton. Roll call, please.
Cavalier?
Aye.
Kressel?
Aye.
Platt?
Aye.
Ved Brenton?
Aye.
Jurdy?
Aye.
Erickson?
Aye.
Briggs?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Moving on. Public hearings. Got a few of them.
7.01 is a public hearing on the proposed assessment project 984, First Avenue North, Stern Street to Albert Street by street reconstruction. This project has an estimated cost of $355,946.04, with an amount to be assessed of $37,720. The recommended term of this assessment is 2 to 10 years at 3%, Your Honor.
Thank you. I'll open this hearing. Does anyone wish to address the council? If so, please come to the podium, state your first and last name as well as your address. Hearing none, I'll close this public hearing.
Item 7.02 is a public hearing on the proposed assessment on Project 985, Second Avenue North, Stern Street to Albert Street by street reconstruction. This project has an estimated cost of $847.03, with an amount to be assessed of $35,360. The recommended term on this assessment is 2 to 10 years at 3%, Your Honor.
Thank you. We'll open this hearing. Does anyone wish to address the council? Please come to the podium, state your first and last name and address, please. Hearing none, I'll close this public hearing.
Item 7.03 is a public hearing on a proposed assessment project 986, Sunflower Street, 3rd Avenue Southwest to Crescent Avenue by reclamation and bituminous paving. This project has an estimated cost of $223,021.84, with an amount to be assessed of $27,400. The recommended term of this assessment is 2 to 10 years at 3%, Your Honor.
Thank you. I will open this hearing. Does anyone wish to address the council? Please come to the podium, state your first and last name and address, please. Hearing none, I'll close this public hearing.
Item 7.04 is a public hearing on the proposed assessment project 987, South Washington Avenue, Bauer Street to East Robert Street by Bituminous Mill and Overlay. This project has an estimated cost of $68,002.22, with an amount to be assessed of $10,500. The recommended term of this assessment is 2 to 10 years and 3%, Your Honor.
Thank you. I'll open this hearing. Does anyone wish to address the council? Please come to the podium, state your first and last name and address, please. Hearing none, I'll close this public hearing.
Item 7.05 is a public hearing on the assessment for unpaid water and sewer charges for current services. The amount for the unpaid water and sewer charges is $5,956.74. The amount for code enforcement is $3,538.60. The amount for mowing charges is $1,041.67. Each assessment is 1-year term, Your Honor.
Thank you. I'll open this hearing. Does anyone wish to address the council? Please come to the podium, state your first and last name and address, please. Hearing none, I'll close this public hearing. All right, this moves us to the regular agenda.
Yes, Your Honor. Item 8.01 is a resolution to adopt the assessment on Project 984, First Avenue North, Stern Street to Albert Street by street reconstruction.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
Moved, Your Honor.
We've got Delane and Clayton. Thank you. Discussion. Forky, you got a brief on this, or?
Well, what we're doing is just assessing the properties for a portion of the value of the cost of this particular street assessment. As we've done in the past, been reviewed and is proposed and recommended for approval.
Further discussion?
Turned out very nice. I live in that area and it's really nice driving down some decent streets and so looks very nice. First, Second Avenues there, so very impressed.
Okay, roll call, please.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Kressel.
Aye.
Platt.
Aye.
Ved Bratton,
Aye.
Jurdy,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Briggs.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 8.02 is a resolution to approve adopting assessment on Project 985, 2nd Avenue North, Stern Street to Albert Street by street reconstruction, Your Honor.
Thank you. Do you have a motion to approve this resolution? So moved. Thank you, Steve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Don. Thank you. Discussion? Hearing none, let's have roll call, please.
Cavalier,
Aye.
Kressel,
Aye.
Platt,
Aye.
Ved Bratton,
Aye.
Jurdy,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Briggs.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 8.03 is a resolution to adopt assessment on Project 986, Sunflower Street, 3rd Avenue Southwest to Crescent Avenue by reclamation and bituminous paving, Your Honor.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
I'll make that motion, Your Honor.
Thank you, Clayton. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by
Don?
Don. Thank you. Discussion?
Another road that definitely needed repairs.
Further discussion? Hearing none, can I have roll call, please?
Cavalier,
Aye.
Kressel,
Aye.
Platt,
Aye.
Ved Bratton,
Aye.
Jurdy,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Briggs.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 8.04 is a resolution to adopt assessment on Project 987, South Washington Avenue, Bauer Street to East Robert by bituminous mill and overlay, Your Honor.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Thank you, Joe. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Tom. Discussion? Hearing none, can I have roll call, please?
Cavalier,
Aye.
Kressel,
Aye.
Platt,
Aye.
Ved Bratton,
Aye.
Jurdy,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Briggs.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 8.05 is a resolution to approve adopting assessment for unpaid water and sewer charges for current services.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So move, Your Honor.
Thank you, Don. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Delane. Discussion?
This, just for your information, these are charges that have been incurred and expended by the city for mowing properties that aren't mowed. According to ordinances, they should be mowed. We've employed a private contractor to do these. Also, water charges, same thing. The owner of the property is being assessed for water charges that were not paid in compliance with our ordinance. It can be a special assessment on the real estate taxes for collection.
I guess that's one of the questions I have on that. If it's a rental property and the person renting it isn't paying their rent, does it get charged to the landlord?
Yes.
Yes, it does.
So
see
I have a question to that, add to that then. Like, a lot of times, the owners of the rentals are not made aware that they're behind in their water bills. And so then the renter moves out, and then the owner of that house finds out that there's all these charges, and they don't have a lot of ability to recoup those costs, not knowing that they were costs. So maybe they didn't know about it, and then they return their deposit, right? And then they're out that money. Is there a better way of notifying the owners of those properties before they have these kind of blindsided costs?
So I can tell you every mowing charges that I have sent out, I do the owner of record on the Polk County website. That is who gets the notification. It's not.
I'm not so much worried about the mowing as I am with the water.
I had several rentals myself, and what I did was I contacted the water department, stated what I wanted, which was $100, and if they went over the $100, the water department would contact me. And they
So is
did
that
it.
in place as a system where those property owners are notified?
I thought it was supposed to be, because we went through this before for renters, and I thought they were supposed to be notified.
So, the account can only go 2 months, and the policy is that, the first month they don't pay, we put the $4 late fee on, the second month they don't pay. We do a door hanger with the delinquent process, so they can get 2 months delinquent and then they get shut off. I know there is a landlord bill option that I've looked into a little bit, but I think there was some legality issues with that, if I remember right. But, you know, what I always encourage landlords to do is, you know, before you return your deposit, call. We will let any property owner obviously know what the past due balance is on the account. And then you can withhold it from their deposit if need be at that time. You know, with the rates where they're at right now, we have $100 deposit on the account. Unless there's 12 people living in a house, that's usually fairly close to covering the delinquent bill. So, you know, I can feel like it's the responsibility shouldn't be solely on the city to keep landlords informed on their properties either. So, I always encourage landlords to call at any time if you question whether a tenant's up to date. Well, we will let you know. So, but that's how it operates right now, anyways.
We had, like I said, I had some that I had the same problem. I just contacted the water department and I said I want the water shut off, and Brandon or his crew would come over, shut the water off, and then he'd call a day or two later and say, yeah, the bill's been paid. So you have the authority to shut it off.
There's a reconnection fee though too, right?
For disconnects, yep, $20 to shut it off or deliver the card. So we don't technically charge for shutting it off. We charge for turning it back on. So, and our fees are substantially lower than other communities. So,
When they take out say a renter, when they come and ask for have water turned on to their building, did they get explained all this stuff?
yep, it's you know, the policy, when we have them fill out the paperwork to set up their account, the policies and procedures are all on that form explaining to them, you know, if a trailer house is set up, we give them the door hanger that states the requirements for the meter underneath the trailer as well. So, it's all given to them at the time of their accounts being set up. Whether they actually read it is up to them. So,
Can a landlord go into that online thing that we have?
and tell if the bill is paid.
Yeah,
There is no account data on that for balance information. And
is it a possibility to maybe have that so that if a landlord wanted to be proactive and say, hey, I have 5 rentals or whatever, and I got them all on my water account like we have individually now, if you want.
it's fairly expensive to add the portal portion to our encode software. You know, our utilization for our analytics portal is under 10%. So it's all, anything's possible. It's just how much money you want to throw at it.
All right, thanks, Brandon. Further discussion?
I got one on the last one there, we've got one for over $3,000. I mean, I don't know what it is that for mowing or whatever it was, but how did something get that high?
That was,
They're not mowing.
Happens to be the Crookston Inn.
Okay.
And so they have a lot of usage and have not been consistent in paying.
that wasn't water, that was current services.
Is there a certain fee that we charge for this to have whatever we're doing for them? Because it kind of seems to me they're just kind of letting the city do it. And it, you know, I can see that if something like this ever comes up for sale, they're gonna come in here and will you forgive this? Just like a lot of our other assessments that we've charged. And then it's, well, if we want it sold and back on the taxes, we need to forgive it. So, I mean, almost have to make it so it's not beneficial for them to let the city do it.
Well, the water department in conjunction with the council can always say no.
Yep. But we might have to start doing that.
I mean, that's an individual decision on the part of individual councils, but that certainly is a possibility.
Yep.
It's a cost of doing business that fortunately or unfortunately has been the history.
Yep,
But it doesn't have to always be that way. You look at why.
yeah.
Just because you've done it, doesn't mean you have to keep doing it.
Well, I agree with that, you know, but it just seems, we gotta try and figure out a better way so things don't get up that high. You know, I think it's,
Further discussion? Hearing none, can I roll call, please?
Cavalier,
Aye.
Kressel,
Aye.
Platt,
Aye.
Ved Bratton,
aye,
Jurdy,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Briggs.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 8.06 is the second and final reading of an ordinance amending the City Code, Chapter 117, entitled Peddlers and Solicitors. Councilmember Cavalier made the motion, and it was seconded by Councilmember Erickson.
Okay, further discussion? Hearing none, can I roll call, please?
Cavalier,
Aye.
Kressel,
Aye.
Platt,
Aye.
Ved Bratton,
aye,
Jurdy,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Briggs.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 8.07 is a resolution to approve the purchase of the new Ring-O-Matic jet vacuum excavator, Your Honor.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Thank you, Steve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Don. Discussion. Corky, you got a little brief on this?
I want to hear Ashley say Ring-O-Matic again. Yes, this is an item that Brandon has requested. It is an item of need for the water department, wastewater department. This is a state bid item. I mean, it meets the requirements of the state bid. If we purchase it now, there's significant savings to the city.
I'd seen when I was
Thank you.
reading through this, it said it was a budgeted item for 23. What did we budget, for? How much did we budget for it?
Brandon?
It was budgeted in the water department for, I believe, 130,000.
130?
Yep.
Okay,
And I believe it's 97.
yep,
And it would be paid out of, those funds
yep,
that we budgeted with the savings.
okay.
There's a
Thanks,
substantial
Brandon.
amount of money to save, so I mean, it's definitely a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Right.
Further discussion? Hearing none, can I roll call, please?
Cavalier,
Aye.
Kressel,
Aye.
Platt,
Aye.
Ved Bratton,
Aye,
Jurdy,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Briggs.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 8.08 is a resolution approving the memorandum of understanding for the Crookston wastewater treatment plant, PFAS, Your Honor.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
I'll make that motion, Your Honor.
Thank you, Clayton, second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Delane. Discussion?
Yes, you have my memo on this, but this is testing that is going to be done by the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. There'll be 4 tests conducted. MPCA has agreed to pay for 2 for the testing and the analysis. They will continue to seek funding from whatever source is available to pay for the remaining 2 tests and analysis, but we may be, as a city, responsible if that's not obtained. I'm not even going to try to say what these are, but we'll just call them what they are. They're environmental contaminants. They could affect the citizenry of our community. They get into the water. We have 1 identified source of these in our community, so the state would like us to do testing so that they can look at that data and advise us about what steps, if any, we need to be doing.
Reading through that, I didn't see anything about what the other 2 or what any of the tests would really actually cost us if we end up paying for them.
It's about $600 a sample.
600?
Yeah.
Oh,
So we could be on the hook for about $1,200. And I have no knowledge, I don't believe Brandon does either, about how close the state is to obtaining additional funding. But for $1,200,
Yeah, that-
I think we should be
And-
doing this.
Yeah. And are we gonna do it soon?
Yes, and the Department of Health sampled some potable water for it about a year ago. So this is the other end. They confirmed that it's not in our potable water, and we have one industrial waste permit, and it seems like the cities that they looked for volunteers had industrial use permits with their wastewater. So that's the most common source, is an industrial application or the foam for fighting fires, so.
Thank you, Brandon. Further discussion? Hearing none, can I have roll call, please?
Cavalier,
Aye.
Kressel,
Aye.
Platt,
Aye.
Van Bratton,
Aye.
Jurdy,
Aye.
Erickson,
All right.
Briggs.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 8.09 is a resolution to approve the intermediary relending loan IRP loan documents, Your Honor.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve this resolution?
I'll make that, Your Honor.
Thank you, Tom. Second.
I'll second that, Your Honor.
Thank you, Christie. Discussion? Jorge?
Yes, we have an intermediary lending program in the city. We have money that's available to be lended to various people who apply. It's just that the committee has not met for approximately 1 to 2 years, and the application form was out of compliance with federal regulations. So we called the committee together. We prepared a new, we believe, appropriate form that meets the requirements of the federal regulations. We do have interest from some businesses in the community, so we need to have council action to approve that new application form so that we can contact potential borrowers and say our money is available, and this form will meet the requirements. We have a good committee. It's been reviewed by both our community development director and our financial director, as well as myself, and we think this is a good form that will help us lend the money that we have.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Corky. Further discussion?
How much money do we have?
If I remember correctly, approximately 790,000? 760.
Thank you. Further discussion? Hearing none, can I have roll call, please?
Cavalier,
Aye.
Kressel,
Aye.
Platt,
Aye.
Van Bratton,
Aye.
Jurdy,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Briggs.
Aye.
Okay, moving on.
Item 8.10 is a resolution authorizing the city of Crookston to conduct an updated housing study.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to
make that-
approve this resolution?
I'll make that motion, Your Honor.
Got one by Don, second.
Second.
Second by Joe. Discussion? Corky?
Yes. For the number of grants that we are applying for a number of them, it's relate to housing and housing development, especially with respect to what I call the Pirate 60, which is out by the arena and drafts. We need an updated housing study. Our study was last completed, I believe, in 2018. Things have changed since then, and many of the grants that we would be applying for, or hopefully applying for, with respect to housing, require updated housing studies that have been conducted more recently than 2018. So that would be important for us to do. The cost of this is approximately $16,900. We do have the money available, and that's why we're asking for the resolution in support and authorizing that study.
Corky, when was the last housing? Was it 14?
2018.
18?
We did have one in
Okay.
2014, updated in 2018. That's been reviewed by our community development director as well as myself. It's just outdated.
Sure.
With COVID, and we talk a lot about COVID, but with that scenario, as well as the change in demographics of our community, this would be a necessary component for us.
So this is basically an update, is that why the price is reasonable?
Yes.
It was over $40,000, I think, the first time we did that, wasn't
Yeah, the update's way less expensive than that,
it? Oh, good deal.
Also on that with the developers, they want to know if they should be looking at, we need a housing study to know if we should be looking at workforce level housing, if we should be looking at low-income housing. So with an updated study, that will help them determine that, because the developers I've been talking to regarding that 60 acres, they want to know, they want an updated study so they would know what we would be building up there and what the community can hold, so.
Thank you, Gary. Further discussion?
I think, this being a huge part of, where we're going in that direction, I think a more informed decision would be made by having a better idea. And this study, I think, is just a key element of that. So I think it's important that we go forward.
Well, yeah, developers, they're not even gonna take a look if you don't have an updated housing study, so. Further discussion? Hearing none, can I have roll call, please?
Cavalier.
Aye.
Kressel.
Aye.
Platt.
Aye.
Bed Bratton.
Aye.
Jurdy.
Aye.
Erickson.
All right.
Briggs.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 8.11 is a discussion on Crookston utility rates, Your Honor.
Okay, Brandon will give us a brief. This is discussion only, no action taken. Jeez, we sure did a lot of trees tonight.
Thanks, Brandon.
All right, I brought up the rate discussion a while back, and this is kind of a conclusion of that. I've got more data here towards the end of the year, on where we're at now, and you can kind of look, I've put together, some revenues and expenses and shown how each, I'll call them fund, they're not all separate funds, but how the water's functioning, how the wastewater's functioning, the street lights, and we don't currently have a stormwater fee. I feel like we need to have one to be able to maintain our stormwater system a little bit better. So on the first page there with the water, and you can kind of see with the water, it kind of bounces all over the place. We have some pretty large industrial users that, depending on the year, they can really sway our revenues quite a bit. So, my recommendation for right now with the water and with the water reserves that we have is to not touch the water rate for right now. And I'll kind of get into that a little bit later. The next page,
So-
Chad.
I'm sorry, I know you're gonna get into it later, but right now you're probably not gonna change that water, or you're recommending not to?
That would be my recommendation right now. All my recommendations are gonna be based on a break even, to get these utilities to support themselves, and nothing else at this point, so. And if we wanna dive into more revenue, I can, the water department, bills for about 300 million gallons a year. So, I can give you some quick numbers on that if we wanna throw them out,
And
so.
I don't know if you will discuss this in, going forward, but is it possible, if we start to see a deficit as the year goes on, to adjust? If, let's just say, some of these years we had a surplus, it looks like.
Yeah.
But let's just say we're getting later in the year, we're starting to show a deficit. Is it possible to maybe adjust so we don't end the year with a deficit? Is that?
I mean, you could, but it's kind of a slippery slope, because if you have 200,000 in income that year, are you gonna decrease the rate? I guess in my mind, that's what our reserve is there for. It's our buffer. And if we start to really hit our reserve hard, then we look at it. But, I don't feel like you want to be shifting each individual rate year to year. The water in the last 2 years looks bad with that, 250,000 and 270,000 in losses. That was because we had a $600,000 project to rehab our filters. So, and then you can see the prior years we made money. So, you know, like, I don't see there shouldn't, unless we have some big expansions in the industrial park or something, there shouldn't be a big hit to the water fund for probably another 5 years when we're probably gonna have to repaint a water tower. You know, right now we have 9,600,000 in reserves in water department. So, you know, the annual budget expenses is, we'll say 1.4, 1.5. So we got a multiple year reserve in the water department. So that's, I don't think it would, it's a hard sell to raise water rates when you have $10 million in the bank, so.
Basically with that, with all the reds there you've had a project.
Yep. You know, probably,
Otherwise it cash flows.
I believe in 14 is the year that we repainted the cell tower. That was a, I don't know, $500,000-$600,000 project. So,
Normally it's a significant income generator.
yes, typically, yes. So when you look at the wastewater, you know, it doesn't look bad, but we haven't been maintaining our infrastructure in the wastewater department. If you look at the water's annual budget, it's 1.4. The annual budget for the wastewater has been in the 500,000 to 600,000 range. You know, it's been degrading, and we've been kind of driving it into the ground. So it's basically the same system as the water, except for you pump it at the end, except for the beginning. You have the same pumps at the end. You got the same pipes running to the pumps. We just haven't been maintaining that system. So with my capital improvement plan, you know, we're gonna have, if we execute that plan like I have it drafted, we're gonna have to have a budget of 900 to $1 million minimum to support those infrastructure needs of the wastewater department. So,
So like when we do a main water or main replacement on a street, do we do the wastewater at the same time?
we currently do not.
Should we
So,
start doing that?
well, I cameraed some mains this fall in preparation for next year's street improvements, and the only one that looks like it warrants possibly needing some work is Houston Avenue. So, and you know, my capital improvement plan right now doesn't have anything in there for main replacements as of right now. You know, if we have to line 800 feet of sewer on Houston Avenue, you're probably looking at $300,000 to $500,000. So it's big hits like that we haven't been doing, and you know, we would have in the past just built a new street on it, and if it collapsed, they would dig up a brand new street, and I'm trying to avoid that.
That's one of the
what I'm
things,
asking, you know.
one of the things we've been talking about over the last 8 or 9 months is, as Brandon indicated, some of our infrastructure has just been ignored, quite frankly, for whatever reasons. And now it's time to pay the piper. We need to, in my opinion, I think Brandon's, address these issues.
So is it possible that we cut our levies way too much in those years, so we couldn't afford to pay for these types of projects?
Is that possible? That could be one component, yes.
No, these are enterprise funds, they're not levy funds.
They're okay, they're not levy
See,
funds.
yeah, we just never really
It's never been
increased.
brought to our attention, is what it is.
Oh, we
An
never,
engineer.
yeah, we never
Nobody's
really,
ever come in here and said our wastewater is going to crap, we need to look at this.
So it's
Ever.
not that we didn't budget for it then, basically, or anything, it's,
well, it's the rates we charge. I mean, I think back in 8 or 9 or 10, we upped the wastewater rates, but we lowered the water rates.
Yeah, when the bond was up on the treatment plant that we built, they reduced the water rate, and don't quote me on any numbers, but it was around $1, I believe, and they reduced the water rates by $1 and increased the wastewater to try and make up the revenue that the wastewater was short back then, so.
So Brendan, when you say like the wastewater system is obviously quite decrepit, when we were dealing with the flooding, did we see evidence of that during that time frame?
Yes, and you know, the high water, we have a horrible I&I issue, so when it rains, our lift stations become overwhelmed by rainwater, and that's part of that 80,000 in next year's capital improvement plan is to get a good feel for where that stormwater is getting into our sanitary system. We pump when it's a normal time of the year, we pump 500,000 to 600,000 gallons a day of wastewater. We were over 4 million for a month and a half after high water. So I tried, we were busy during high water. I tried to chase it a little bit, and it just seemed like it was coming from everywhere. And I eventually gave up. But they have devices they can strategically move through the system. It monitors the flow through manholes, and they'll move them as we have rainfalls next summer, and we'll kind of pinpoint where the worst area is and fix that area and move on from there. You know, the old system, all the storm water used to come to the sanitary system, so some of those pipes just got plugged with concrete. You know, some of those plugs have maybe come out or whatnot, but that's kind of what that study's gonna tell us next summer. It's, you know, it has been dealing with the wastewater department has probably been one of the most frustrating things I've dealt with in the first year and a half. Everything we touched during high water, it got comical because it didn't work. And you had to laugh because you're gonna beat your head against the wall. And we got to get our backup pumps to where when the storm water hits the lift station, if our pumps don't kick in, those backup pumps don't work. And just all our stuff that doesn't need to work on a daily basis but needs to work once every 10 years doesn't work.
Sure.
So that's the type of stuff that the direct in your face issues were repaired over the years. It can wait till next year never came.
Yeah. So is that part of the conversation in your plan here is to work on some of those pieces that obviously were?
Yeah, you know, that 5-year capital improvement plan will, you know, in the first 2 years will hit all the very big issues and the issues that, you know, can come later. I have later the final 3 years, but yes, that they should address the majority of those issues.
Do you feel confident that if we have another high water event like we did this year, that the infrastructure that we currently have in place will hold? Or is there certain things that need to be like implemented sooner than later is what I'm asking?
I think if me and Tim have been looking into a couple of portable pumps that could be put in so that we could strategically place them. Right now, we made it. The pump down in the Woods Addition didn't work. When the lift station got overwhelmed, we put a couple of gas pumps down there, and it got by. It took a lot of babysitting, but it worked, you know. So I feel like it worked, but it didn't have to be as hard as it was, I guess. So I don't think we're in big trouble if we have another. I mean, that was the worst high water event in a long time. I hope I hope I don't see one for a few years anyways, but you know, we got pump from Rural Water. We're a Rural Water Association member. They have a trailer that, if you're a member, you can borrow, and we borrowed some of their pumps, and in the future, if we need it again, I'm sure we can do it again. But I can look into I can give it a closer look and, you know, if we need, I really feel like if we get a couple of 10-inch portable pumps to where if we need to bypass the lift station during high water, 2 of them would put us in a lot better position, so.
Sure. So I guess one of my other questions are, and maybe I don't understand this quite as well, so just for clarification. So with the wastewater, I think of a lot of houses that sewers backed up into their basements and things of that nature. Would that address some of those issues? Or, I mean, like what, I guess, how or why can we prevent that? How can we prevent that in the future? Is
You
my
know,
bigger
it's
question.
I think a lot of the houses that had the issue were in low-lying areas like Riverside, and you know that whole northeast corner comes down to Riverside and Alex intersection, and then it heads west there. And you know, probably the easiest way to address that is to have check valves installed in those houses to where it wouldn't allow the sewage to go backwards. But then a lot of times that just passes that house's issue on to the next. But that study will help, you know, they'll model how much water is coming at that area, and you know, if we can get the rainwater out of that system, I think it'll help a lot to avoid those backup issues. But you know, there's smoke so there's a trailer you can get that you pump smoke down the manhole, and then if it comes up in a catch basin, then you know it's cross connected. So that's some of the testing they'll do. But you know, I know there was a few backups, but for the amount of water we were fighting, I didn't think it was horrible, I guess. I think that's an inevitable when the river gets up to 30 feet. It's our lift station 3 with, you know, our normal operating level on that lift station is 5 feet. It's sat at 20 feet for weeks.
Yeah.
The pumps never shut off, so.
Yeah, I just wonder if there's some way for us to at least, you know, better prepare our citizens if that is the case, and how else we can address that.
Yeah,
So-
I could probably do a better job of notifying ahead of a high water event on issues like that, so.
Okay.
Okay, on to street lighting. So there is a base fee on the water bill that is intended to support the street lights throughout the city. You kind of see in 2013, it was pretty close to maintaining, and it's kind of slipped off through, you know, we add 10 lights here, 15 there, utilities go up, and I don't, as far as I'm aware, the street light fee has never been changed, so I have a recommendation to make up that 40 grand later.
That goes to every single household, right, that has a water bill?
Yep, and then it goes to apartments too, and it's tiered on
seen how
the
it's tiered, yeah.
units, yep.
And all of our tax exempt lands still pay it too, and I believe that's why it's a fee.
What's that?
Well, when we did this, rather than making a tax, we made it a fee so that all the tax exempt too.
Would pay for it too.
Also,
I mean, they have to have a water meter on the property to get the fee, but other than that, every account that has water pays some sort of light fee.
So with changing to LED, changing all these lights, has that helped any?
It doesn't appear to. I can't really. I've tried to. Like I said a few meetings ago, you kind of change a utility bill for now this LED head that goes out. We can change the incandescent bulb for, you know, $80. When somebody hits like or an LED burns out, it's around $2,000 just for the head. So
How much longer do they last? Or
they're
do they?
they're 15+ year heads, so
Versus
it's probably about 5 would be a good
So it still
incandescent
doesn't seem
bulb.
like it's a good financial decision.
You would have to, I know they're much more efficient. I haven't dove into how much better they are, but I mean, it's pretty, the expenses of the expenses, and they haven't moved a lot, there's some years that we have spikes, and I assume that those are heavy years with possibly like pole strikes that didn't have an insured driver or something like that, where we had to carry the cost of the replacement.
So if one burns out, I know what I've got one right in front of my house, which I like.
Yep.
But when we had the old style, we got nice light around, and now it's right underneath the pole. You
Okay.
don't get that lit. So if one burns out, how much, say if it's an LED right now, how much more or hard would it be to go back to the old style light? If they're not really saving us, you get better light from it in the neighborhood.
Yeah, those are, the majority of the residential poles are maintained by Otter Tail, and they just charge us a base fee. The city streetlights that we pay utilities on and maintain are on, mainly University Avenue coming to downtown, and Fisher Avenue, those new lights that they put up. All the corner lights in the residential neighborhoods, I don't know what happened there, but a few years ago, Otter Tail ended up, we shifted those over to Otter Tail. I don't know how we managed that, but we did, so.
So do we have a choice in what type of lighting we're utilizing if Otter Tail is the one that's maintaining?
I could talk to them. I've honestly never, we've contacted them to let them know that a bulb is out. I've never had a discussion on our options, and as long as it wasn't a substantial cost to them, I don't know why they would be opposed to it.
And would they be able to tell us, like, a straight pole that's using incandescent versus one that's using LED, like the usage and the cost of wattage? I mean, like, is this saving us any money or is it not? I mean, for $2,000, it seems excessive.
They have, I think his name's Tyler, that I've dealt with on other projects. He'll have that right away if I call him. So I can get that from him and I can pass it on to you guys.
So are we upping this? Is that what we're thinking?
Yes, and I'll get to that here on one of the following slides. So the garbage revenue and expenses, it's made a little bit of money here or there, but that's kind of been running in the red. And, the majority of that revenue comes from the drive-by fee through the water bill. So I think we sell about $20,000 worth of bags a year. The remainder of the revenue is the base fee on the accounts. So 100 to 120,000, 130,000 is the base fee on the water account, and we have to raise that about $1 to get it to break even.
Can I ask a question? Why isn't that everybody just charged a garbage fee and that we just all put our garbage out? Instead of having to purchase these separate bags? Like, it's interesting to me why we're getting charged somewhat of a fee, then there's this fee for bags, like.
Yeah, I've dug into it a little bit, and I'll do more before I purchase our new garbage truck. But, a service in Grand Forks, I believe in Grand Forks it's on your water bill, you have one garbage can, and I believe it's $35 to $40 a month. And then I don't know if they collect, I assume they collect weekly, but I'm not sure. So they pay $35 for one can. If you want additional cans, it goes up from there. Our base fee right now is $5. So it's...
We have the base fee, plus you have to buy the garbage bags.
Plus you have to buy the garbage bags. I go back and forth on it. I think it's going to be hard to change people's ways of bringing their garbage to the transfer station. Our even now, our service is pretty low utilization.
Well, it's like
So,
20%, right?
what's that?
Roughly 20% of our residents actually use the garbage service that we have, rather than taking it out to the,
I think it was less than that. I had the,
you know, that's something we just need to discuss in the future of how a city needs to move into the 21st century, of how we provide garbage service for our community. I mean,
well, and, me and Corky have discussed, I kind of feel like we're either to the point where we either need to provide the service or we need to not.
Right.
And so the pitfall of that is to at least in the first few years, I almost feel like you might have to force people into the service that, a average water bill right now, if you put a $35 base fee for cans on a utility bill for garbage services, even with these rates that I'm gonna throw at you guys, you're almost doubling the rate of the service. So you can't, I don't know,
well, not only that, if we started to have containers for everybody in town, your staff that you currently have will not be able to, and the equipment that you have, if somebody all of a sudden tomorrow went out and bought bags and put them on their berm, you guys would be in trouble.
Yeah, the two guys that do garbage, we utilize them pretty heavy they do all the streetlight maintenance, and, if we got to the point where they were busy and all day picking up garbage, it would impact those services, and we might have to look at adding a person, but, I would have to run the numbers to see what kind of revenue you would bring in on that too, so.
Would buying one of them trucks that picks the garbage can up with one person be able to do that workload? If the workload went up, would it be able to handle it?
Most likely, yeah. It's, you go from a $400,000 or $500,000 garbage truck to $1.5 million, $2 million garbage truck.
And
So,
then you gotta wonder, do we want them tubs sitting out on the berm all the time? Cause that's where they're gonna be. There's an awful lot of areas in this town that's where they're gonna sit, cause they don't have access to the alley or the access to the garage or steps to get down to the street. So they're gonna sit on the berm the whole time.
Man, I've been to a lot of cities in the United States, I don't see that problem.
Right.
I think they set up a policy saying you must have them removed.
Yeah, like
if
they
it's
can only be
24
there.
hours or
Right.
whatever it may
Right.
be, you can't just keep them there. I mean,
Yeah.
that's part of the whole conversation we're gonna have to have on this is
Right.
Then you
putting
tell-
things together, but I just feel that if we're gonna charge more for what, we have to give more. And I think getting in the 21st century, like Delane said, I think it's a good conversation we need to have. Not only this, but I feel pretty strongly about leaf collection on the berm with a sucker truck, stuff like that. Conversation anyway. Boost up our city the more, like you said, with just park and rec stuff and with the new field and everything else, bringing our city up and things that people look at when they move into town, things that make it easier for them. I think this is all part of that.
Yep.
I agree, and I've thought about leaf collection, but to be quite frank, I feel like with the position we're in, with some of the equipment we're in, we
Right.
have right now, I want to get to the point where what we're doing right now, we're doing well before we try and start picking up 2-3 new.
But I definitely think it could be in the plan for the next 5 years, I don't think that would be a horrible idea to, start planning for
Have
us to
that
slowly
discussion.
move into
I
that.
think before I got on a council, you guys did do a study or some type of a survey if you had like an outside subcontractor come in and do the garbage for the city, that was pretty expensive, right?
Yeah, I wasn't part of that, but I could dig it up, and I believe it was pretty substantial, yeah.
I think the other problem with that, people did not want to leave their stuff out there. They did not want to haul a big 30-gallon or 50-gallon container from their garage to their corner. The elderly were more against that than anything. On the feedback that we got when we
Yeah, I
pitched
mean,
that, and
I did get some feedback as well from some elderly and, you know, in my ward, but I'm just like, we're not the only community that has the elderly. You know, so I'm like, you know, then after this one lady that called me and, you know, and after visiting with her, I says, you know, I think it's not very hard to move these containers around as the person thinks. You don't have to drag them. They got some
Wheels.
good wheels and.
Yeah, these aren't like metal heavy
Yeah.
garbage cans you're
Probably,
having to
probably
carry
easier
that.
than them carrying their
Right.
bag by hand down the steps.
Right.
Let's
or down
keep moving through this. We got a lot of material yet, so.
Okay, so on the next slide, that's the reserve fund balances for the water and wastewater. So from 2000, the balance in 2013 for the water was 9,700,000, and in 2021 it was 9,600,000. So it lost 100,000, but it stayed pretty flat. Wastewater has actually gained 473,000, but like I said, we haven't been maintaining our infrastructure. So
So can I just double, so we've gained this in revenue, we just haven't put it back into the system.
correct, yep, it's sitting there.
What is your ideal number for,
For reserves,
yeah,
I
Where do you
mean,
wanna get
bare minimum 2.5 years, and that's what we have in wastewater right now, is how I feel anyways. We've had different auditors recommend different, reserves. That's what I
it's a
personally,
hard sell to the community to say, yeah, we need more money from our wastewater, cause we only have 2,757,000 there, not knowing that what infrastructure costs, but at the end of the day, you know, that's why I think it's important we'll have a number for, you know, the water and wastewater for, of reserves that you wanna keep. Like you said, if it's 2 years, it's 2 years, but
yeah,
it'd be easier to sell that, I guess.
So that's
Yeah.
what you feel that you have for both wastewater and water right now, is 2.5 years of operating
no,
budget?
water has, it's a few years, let me calculate it real quick. Water has about 6 years right now.
So right now, then, anytime you reconstruct a street, can you just replace both the water main and the wastewater in there? You said something about relining?
You can, you know, with the waste, there's a lot of settling when you trench replace water mains. You know, that's why we leave the gravel roads for 1 year after they replace the water, and it's not as the relining water lines isn't. You can reline the water main, but relining a 1-inch service or a 1/2-inch copper service it just doesn't work. So you could reline the main, spend $300,000, and then go dig up the street anyways and replace all the services. So you know, could we line all the sewers as we go? Yes. Do I feel that's responsible if the infrastructure that's there has been investigated and is sound? I don't think I could sit here and say it's worth spending $400,000 if it's in good shape still.
Oh, yeah,
So
but if it, you know, apparently we haven't been doing even the stuff that we should have maybe done.
yeah,
Um,
and that's why I'm cameraing ahead and I will get estimates on Houston on what they recommend to replace, and I'll bring that before any road work is done there.
Okay.
So the first slide for my recommended rate change to break even, it's about a 40% increase on the street lights. The current base residential rate is $250. It would need to go to $350. Apartments, units, 4 units or less is $7. It would have to go to $980. 5 to 15 units is $12. It would have to go to $16.80, and 16 and more was $16. It'd have to go to $22.40. That would bring in an additional about $45,700 in revenue to get it to break even.
So Brandon, can I ask you, like, the number that you got to, that 45, like, I see there's a couple on here that are 52, 58,000. So are you just like going off of the average from 19 to 21 to decide on that
That's, yeah,
dollar
kind
amount?
of where I was landing.
Okay.
yeah. There isn't, if the street light has never had a profit, so there is no reserve for street lights. So I guess if we wanted to go a little bit higher than that to get a reserve, we could, but that's at least where I landed for right now.
On
The,
that being said, when you got residential and different apartments with how many units they have, what do we do, like, say, nonprofit areas that, say, churches or whatever, they're still on their bill, do they get residential rate, or do they get apartment rate, or what do they get?
I am not sure. This is, I can look at that and get back to you. So the garbage rate, if we continue the current service the way it is, it needs 20% to break even. So it's currently $5. It would have to go to $6, and that would create 31,000, about 127 in revenue. The biggest impact is the wastewater. The rate has to double to get to the point where we can repair our infrastructure and maintain the current reserve we have. So the proposed budget for '23 is $966,000. So the current rate for wastewater is $1.75 per 1,000 gallons, and it would have to go to $3.50. So it'd be approximately $450,000 to address the infrastructure needs. So the wastewater, the wastewater department builds about 200 million gallons a year of wastewater, because some of our large industrial accounts, it never hits the wastewater system. So that's why they're about 100,000 less than the water. We are one of the few cities without a stormwater fee. So, you got your wastewater that takes all the wastewater from the households, and then you got your storm catches on all the corners that don't go into the house, but they service the entire community. So, this is for me, and I was trying, we had to reline a storm sewer by Crooks Club going to the river. Last year, there's an issue down by the old Torkelson repair right now that I'm going to have to reline, and it's gonna be about $75,000 to $100,000. In years past, the already sinking wastewater department would have funded that. So, a $3 per month fee, just base fee on every water account. We billed 34,269 accounts in '21, so that would generate about 102,800 in revenue. And, we kind of see where we landed after a few years on that, and see if we need to shift one direction or another with it being with the new fee. So the next slide is kind of a representation of what an up-to-date average utility bill would be. So the rate study that is on the next page reflects a 6,000 consumption. So that's kind of what I tried to replicate in this bill. So the green are the items that have been adjusted. So on a $6,000 water bill, the water would still be the $23.39. The insurance policy would still be $1. The sewer rate would go to $26.80. So it would have been, $13.40 before. Sewer insurance is still 50 cents. The garbage rate goes from 5 to 6. Pest control stays at $1.25. Streetlights goes to $3.50. The added $3 stormwater charge.
What was the lights before? 250?
Yes.
Okay.
And then, your solid waste tax goes up slightly because that's off your garbage rate. It's just a percentage of that $5 before, so that'll go up slightly. But, so the new total bill would be $67.04, when before it was $45-ish.
And can I just go back for a minute on the stormwater fee? So basically, that would be for realigning storm drains?
Fixing any storm issue within the city, yes.
Is it a possibility, say say for the water one, you say we got about a 6-year reserve? I know the last time when we did move stuff around, we lowered the water and raised the wastewater. Is there any way to lower that water one again, so that there's not so many year reserve? And add that over to the wastewater, so there isn't such a big increase?
It's possible, yeah.
You know, I mean, I guess even if you had, say, 4 years of reserve rather than 6, that would help the residents quite a bit.
Yeah.
Is there any thoughts, Brendan, of what else you would utilize those water funds for? And there's justification for having so much in there?
Well, I guess my initial, we're doing that well field water. We're looking at our well fields next year. It's, so, if it did come out of that study that we would have to expand our well field, you're looking at a few $1 million depending on how far you have to go. So I guess I would feel more comfortable seeing what comes out of that. There's substantially more pressure on the city to monitor our water usage and our draw on our aquifer currently by the DNR, and until we get a good feel from the study on which direction we have to go, whether we're okay or we need to expand, I would like to
Give a
wait that
significant-
out myself.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, we could fund and, that storm water to fix the water issue out by the, I'll call it Carrie's Pirate 60.
Just to differentiate between the south 60 acres out where we've talked about Epitome Energy, that's Epitome 60, north Pirate 60, just so when we say 60, we're not left in some limbo about which one.
And that project could potentially be a multi-million-dollar project as well. So, we got a couple of projects that could eat up that, at least half of that 10 million pretty quick. So, I guess that's where I'm at on that. And on this next page, it kind of shows you where we're at with other communities. So this is a study every year. AE2S out of Grand Forks sends us a form that we fill out, and if you provide information on your rates, they give you everybody else that provides their rates. So this is in Minnesota, excluding the Twin Cities. So you can see us. There's that Alexandria, but the only reason they're cheaper than us is they do not. They only take wastewater. They do not serve a potable water source. So our average bill right now at that 6,000, this removes every fee except for your water, your wastewater, and your storm fee. So it's $37.76 is what our average is. If we make these changes, our average will go to $48.71. That moves us one spot down on the list. We're no longer the cheapest, we're the second cheapest. If you look at that, there's notable, Thief River Falls is a very similar system to ours. Their average is 83.28. Bemidji is almost identical. They have groundwater. I believe they have a wastewater treatment plant, but Bemidji, I believe, was, where are they? They're 92, 93 per month on their average bill. So, we're still half of what the surrounding communities are that are somewhat similar to our system. So, I've been here been so long, I don't even remember anymore. 18 years. The only water rates that have changed is when we shifted from the water to the sewer. So, I think they had a pretty substantial increase when they built the new water treatment plant in the 80s. And then as the bonds were paid off, it worked out. And we have a really efficient water system. We pump it out of the ground and we never have to pump it again. It's gravity the rest of the way. So there's a lot of savings in that too. So.
Well, I guess that's another thing that I was thinking about too, when you talk about both south and north 60s. When we do them, rather than taking that out of our reserves, that might be something that we'd want to bond for and pay it off over a period of time rather than taking it out of your reserves. So then some of these could maybe be lowered a little bit.
Yeah.
Any of them big projects like that, you're almost gonna have to bond for them rather than think you're gonna pay them up front.
Okay, at the end of the day, it's kind of trying to feel out where you guys are comfortable with. Well, if we want these rates to be in place by the first of the year, we'll have to have a public hearing at the next council meeting. So, I'm kind of looking for a little bit of guidance.
I think we need to have these rates increased. I don't know what anybody else thinks, but I think it's long overdue.
I think need to get more break even anyway. I mean, to where we're at, we can't be losing money on a regular basis, or for the last 3 years or something, where our town's only hopefully gonna grow and is growing. That's only gonna get worse.
Yep.
So I think we need to have that public hearing and see
Yeah,
where
the
it goes.
public hearing is a prerequisite. You have to do it prior to making your decision
Right.
about the water rates.
Right.
Am
Well,
I hearing a consensus?
I mean, I
to-
think this all makes sense. Obviously, listening to the public is a big part of it too. But I think that we should at least go forward with the public hearing and just, get a sense of what the community's needs and wants are. We obviously understand what Brandon is bringing towards us, so I think that's an important piece, so.
I mean, I do agree that we need to do some things, but, now we're at another 1951. I just got my taxes for 23, and it's like, we got an 18.75 levy, whatever, get down to, at the end of the day, we are nickel and diming our constituents. It's not just 40, 50 bucks anymore. We're talking $200-300 for somebody on Social Security that had no increase.
So is the city of Crookston supposed to subsidize everybody else because they
I'm
can
just
raise
saying,
their taxes?
when we do this stuff, and when we start doing our levy part of it, we gotta look at reserves and narrowing that down instead of throwing out that levy number, because, it's one of those things, in the school district, they're gonna throw that on top of there. We just supported that. So as a city, we're gonna force people out of here too. We need the infrastructure, we need this and that, but at the end of the day, we're doing it all in 1 year. And we go at an 18.5 levy to get the employees' rates up, great. But how do we maintain that without coming down with a levy? So that's gonna be a levy for here on out, 17, 16, 18%. We gotta remember that. Like I said, I totally agree, Brian, we got what he's saying that we need to do, but, do we have to do it all right now is my question, I guess.
Well, and again, listen, I don't like it either. I don't. But when we're going through the budget processes, that's the time we all listen to the department heads saying, this is what our needs are. We didn't say too much then. Yeah, we agree that you need this, but, so now, I think we need to be a little bit more vocal when it comes to that, say, no, you don't need that. Take that out. We're not gonna do that. But we can't just say, yeah, these are the needs. Now, okay, cut it. We need to cut the levy just because it's, our city doesn't feel comfortable doing that. And I get it, but it's like, at some point in time, we need to pay the piper. And unfortunately, years and years and years of just getting the number down has taken a toll on the city, I think.
I don't think it was that so much as the department has not come in to say, in a long-term deal, this is what we need. Because we didn't cut it because we cut it because we got the numbers of what we had to work with. And it's like, okay, you can do it at 8%. Let's try to get down to 7. We were never at 16, 18, that's what I'm saying. I think a lot of Brandon's problems are ask people that didn't want to fix the infrastructure for the future or invest in a way to pay for things that are gonna be expensive down the road, for repairs and different things like that. And now we're doing it all at once, and that's my concern is, you know, we're not only doing the hugest levy Crooks has probably ever had, but now we're doing another 19% on water bill. We're gonna do another percentage with the, I mean, I just look at the county was my actual tax went down the county and down the school district. And we had a 2.8% overall tax as a city. Everybody else went down because the levy should go up high enough so everybody pays it how it should work. And I know we have another one, big levy coming off here, tax, that we, abatement that's coming off, I think it's 50-some thousand for the apartment buildings, so that's gonna help. But like I said, you know, I'm all for what this is for, but I wanna make sure we all know that at the end, you know, we're gonna tax the citizens right out of here too. I mean, I just think we're doing too much all at once, I guess.
But I also think too, some of it has been from just what I've seen, is the information that the council's been getting, that may not been brought forward before, and some of those things that maybe should have been slowly brought up years ago, instead of having it at this higher rate now, to just try to make up for that. So, I mean, that's some of that we gotta look at too.
I mean, when you say we're gonna tax the people out here, where are they gonna go? I mean, most of the communities around us are raising taxes as well. That's
People
just,
that live in Crookston because it's cheaper and work in Grand Forks, which there are quite a few, are gonna say, oh, I'm gonna go back to Grand Forks because now it's equivalent. mean,
Well,
we're
I
gonna
would
lose
still
some-
say Grand Forks is at $116
East
for
side,
this
let's put it
particular
that way.
thing.
South Dakota's
That's
a
what it
little
is.
different, but-
Okay.
I think at the end of the day, the reality is that our infrastructure is not where it needs to be. And we have to take that into consideration. And these are hard decisions to be made,
Okay.
absolutely. But I think that the public also having the hearing can give their input as well.
Points well taken.
on this chart, East Grand Forks has the second highest rate.
That's on this page.
Yeah.
There's additional cities on a following page, but
Right.
I just put us, this first page
And we
on.
got a
so I
long
didn't
ways to
bore
go.
you.
Comparative to cities that are close to us,
Right.
it makes
Yeah.
sense.
I mean, we
Yeah.
got a long ways to go to get to East Grand Forks, but I'm just saying, it's like, I mean, if I'm choosing to move to East Grand Forks from Crookston, there's a lot of stuff that's gonna happen.
Or Thief, I mean, it's
Yeah.
still higher by like $40, so.
And that's even if these rates are implemented.
Right.
So,
And a
consent?
side note, Steve, you know, a couple of these fees, your streetlight fee, I have this increase in there because this hits the levy because it's in the general fund. So if we don't raise that 45,000, you're gonna have another 2% on your levy because it's supported by the levy, and same with the garbage. So, you know, have maybe not half of it, but a substantial amount. You're either gonna take it on the levy side, or you're gonna pay it on the utilization side. And for me, it's more appropriate on the user-based service. So
Okay. Thank you, Brandon. Okay, the consensus is to hold a public hearing. Okay,
Yes.
all right, moving on.
Item 8.12 is a revised resolution to approve the rehabilitation loan program and mortgage satisfaction on the property owned by William R. and Carol E. Montague, husband and wife, with respect to document number A000542046, Your Honor.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution? Thank you, Don. Second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Clayton.
The only change is one number at the very end. You've already approved it as to 8. This is for 6, which is the accurate number.
Thank you, Corky. Further discussion? Hearing none, let's have roll call, please.
Cavalier. Kressel. Platt.
Aye.
Ved Bratton.
Aye.
Jurdy.
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye.
Briggs.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 8.13 is a revised resolution adopting the updated fee schedule for the year of 2023.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved, Your Honor.
Thank you, Delane. Second?
Second.
Second by Joe.
You wanna,
Thank
you
you.
wanna approve that before we have the public hearing? Fee
This-
schedule?
This is a fee schedule.
This was the fee schedule that had the changes from the fire department and then at the liquor. That was the one.
Okay, sorry about that.
Can I just
problem.
ask for clarification, a couple of them that were highlighted, the sports and convention facilities license, is that like, if there's a hockey tournament, is it like per game? Is it per
Let
the
me get a
tournament?
second first.
All
right, I'll
We have a
second.
second, we
Second,
do. We
sorry.
already have a second, Your Honor.
Who
Okay.
was the second?
That was Joe.
Thank you.
What the fee is per event. So, and it relates to the amateur hockey. The only one that can really use that is the University of Minnesota, Crookston, who can serve alcohol under the new ordinance. And instead of a $100 fee, it's a $50 fee per event.
Okay. So per game,
Yes.
okay.
And the apartments for the fire inspection, the chief and I did some calculations today, and under the original fee schedule, someone with an 18-unit apartment building would be paying $30 more than someone with a 20-unit apartment building. So we made that adjustment so that 18 and above would pay the $600, and below 18 would pay less.
$35.
We tried to make it beneficial to the apartment owner, and the anomaly being, why should you pay more if you got 17 units than an 18 to 20?
All right, thank you, Corky. Further discussion? Hearing none, can I have roll call, please?
Cavalier. Kressel.
Aye.
Platt.
Aye.
Bedbratton.
Aye.
Jurdy.
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye.
Briggs.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 8.14 is removed item 6.01 from the consent agenda to approve the proposed city council minutes, from November 14th, 2022's meeting, Your Honor.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Thank you, Tom. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Clayton. Discussion?
The only reason I removed it is when I read through them, myself, Joe, and Delane were absent at that meeting, but we all three gave reports.
Yeah,
So
it was a
it's
clerical
right
error
now.
on my point. I will definitely get that removed and put no report on that for you.
Okay, sounds good.
Well, that way you don't get a check mark at your name.
We were Klingon meld minding with you. We knew what you were going to say.
All right, can I have roll call, please?
Cavalier. Kressel.
Aye.
Klatt.
Aye.
Bedbratton.
Aye.
Jurdy.
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye.
Briggs.
Aye.
Motion carries, all right. Reports, Corky.
Well, we had a good Thanksgiving. Last 2 weeks, we had bathhouse and campground discussions, very good. Transportation grant meeting, IRP application review, fire chief discussions, and not only discussions, but I'm happy and proud to announce we have a fire chief, a new one, and that will be Shane Helstab. He will take over after Chief Frober leaves us, but during the interim, the chief will be helping Shane become accustomed. He just accepted that position today. Red Lake River Corridor meetings, development policy and review meetings. We've had Crookston Firefighter Association contract discussions, and we have miscellaneous department head meetings as always. So it's been very busy, and I think we had a good 2 weeks.
Thank you, Corky. Carrie, anything? All right, thank you. Scott, you must be filling in for Jake.
No report tonight, Your Honor.
Thank you. Greg?
No report tonight, Your Honor.
Brandon, anything else to add?
I'll report to you for the first time.
All right, thank you. Chad?
I'll follow suit, no report.
Thank you. Ryan?
No report, Your Honor.
Wow. Tim?
I'm not afraid. I'll make it quick, though. Just want to let everybody know, besides congratulations to Shane, he's going to do a great job. Him and I will start working together pretty much immediately and get him trained in, and very excited for him and his family, so it'll be good. Toys for Tots start this weekend. We'll be shopping for that. The fire department and their families will be shopping for that. The City Hall's been collecting names. Water Department's been collecting the funds from the community, which is, everybody's been very gracious and very kind on that. Golden Link will be wrapping all the gifts, and then the fire department and their families will be delivering everything on December 24th, Christmas Eve. So it's a huge community event, and it's a lot of fun, and the fire department enjoys doing it. And also, you'll be hearing a little bit more in the media here real soon about our Hydrant Hero program, keeping the hydrants cleaned off. Thank God we don't have a whole bunch of snow right now, but that'll be in the media here in the very near future, so look forward to that. Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. Darren, anything tonight?
No report, Your Honor.
Thank you. Start with Christie.
There was not a Park and Recs meeting for this month, so don't have anything to report on that, but I did participate in the Shop Small Saturday, and I thought they did a great job of getting a lot of vendors and pop-ups throughout the downtown, so it was a really great addition and kind of a fun thing to do on Saturday. So thank you to the DCDP and the downtown who participated in that. That was wonderful.
Thank you. Apologies. Commissioner Willite, anything tonight?
Just a couple things. Quick minute or two. First off, we did get some information on the opioid settlement, relatively large, $26 billion nationally. Minnesota will receive about $300 million of that. We put some, I guess, persuasion towards the state legislature as far as how they should spend that, and felt that that should be delegated out to the counties to decide where that should be funded. So Polk County will receive $1.9 million of that to work on drug issues and things like that from opiate addiction. What that gets down to, though, is, how many of these companies are going to be in business to pay off this settlement. So we're not going to be spending all the money in year one. I think we received our first payment, and that was around $62,000, so we got a ways to go. Well, we formed a committee, and a lot of folks from Crookston Community here, Public Health, Lumina, and law enforcement, all a part of that solution. So that is going on. We also respond to the request from the Humane Society. I saw the Crookston community allocated some dollars to that, and we have allocated $38,000 to the Humane Society. They definitely need some improvements. They're really doing a really good job there, but renovations are definitely needed. And then I just wanted to say gratitude to Mr. Erickson and Mr. Vedbrotten. That'll be leaving, I guess, at the end of the year, right?
Yep.
Hopefully you'll get an opportunity to work with those individuals when I was with the council, and certainly enjoyed and the input that you provided. And then it looks like Mr. Fisher and Mr. Menard will be joining, so best of luck there. Budget concerns are always for the county too. I think we started out at around a 19% request from all our directors. We had set, as you did too, a 5.5% not to exceed. So in the next weeks, we got a big meeting tomorrow morning, and we hope to finalize that figure. And I'm pretty optimistic that it's going to be below that 5.5%. The one thing that I think the city has always struggled with is, for whatever reason, they were uncomfortable with bonding dollars. And if we weren't doing that with the county, that levy would be much, much higher. So I do, suggest to your administrator, when you know there's going to be infrastructure costs in the millions of dollars, you just can't pass that on in a year and, expect the community to be happy with that. So take a look at that, and that's my only bit of advice for tonight.
Thanks, Gary. Steve, anything tonight?
Same thing with Christie had, Small Business Saturday, I think Saturday morning it was bustling downtown, so it's good to see a lot of good support from the community, and all the small businesses appreciate that. That's all I got.
Thank you. Clayton?
I've sat on the Laurel Board for the last 8 years, and which is Lake Agassiz Regional Libraries, which covers all the libraries in the little area. On the 17th of November, I was appointed president to that board. I'll make you aware of that. That's it.
Thank you. Where'd Don go?
He had another meeting.
Joe?
No report, Your Honor.
He's very good.
Delane?
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Think that's funny? Tom?
We did have a development policy review meeting, and it went very well. I think we did a good job. That resolution we passed tonight was part of it. So hopefully, if there's people that need some funds, they come and fill out the form. And congratulations to Shane. I think that'll be good.
Thank you. Just kind of brief on what Andy Hall had to say about the chamber celebration on Friday. Like you said, 6 o'clock social, 7 o'clock awards, and then entertainment at 8:30. Hopefully, council members, myself, can attend. I think it, like Andy said, it'd be a good thing, for the awards and leadership portion of the program. So, thanks for all you do with the chamber, Andy. Nothing else become before council. We do have a Ways and Means tonight, so it will be a closed meeting. So we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.